And we are live, guys. Excited for this one? Let's divide it up into two parts. You've got the 80-hour work week, why it's harder as an entrepreneur than anything else. And obviously, the only other option that you've got is a job, right? If you are not an entrepreneur, you are an employee or unemployed, but you're an unemployed employee. Okay, so there's only two different mindsets. And it's way harder to do the 80-hour work week when you have a business. And I'll explain in this video why that is and why you, as an employee, if you are an employee, must do everything in your power to prepare yourself to do the 80-hour work week as an entrepreneur while you are an employee. Because it's only going to get harder from here to do the 80-hour work week. Now, success is going to become easier and easier over time once you've gone through the hard parts, okay? The initial aspect. It's only going to get easier over time, but if you procrastinate and wait on doing the things that need to get done in order for you to run your own business, it's only going to get harder and harder and harder over time in your lifetime, okay? So, let's understand this. Employee, entrepreneur. Employee equals high school. Entrepreneur equals university. Let me explain. In high school, there is structure, okay? Someone tells you what to do. This is what needs to get done, and you need to show up at this time, and you need to do this homework assignment, and then you need to deliver it to me. And then if you don't do that, there's going to be consequences, okay? If you don't show up to class, the principal is going to be brought in, and you're going to have to spend time in the principal's office or a detention or whatever it is. A letter or a phone call is going to be made to your parents, and they're going to find out that you're skipping class. There's going to be problems as a result of you not doing what you're supposed to do. Sounds like an employee, right? It's the exact opposite in university. And if you've been there, you totally understand. There's no accountability there. There's a homework assignment, sure. But if you don't do it, who cares? No one cares except for your, future potential graduation that might not happen as a result of you not doing the homework, of you not actually keeping up with the classmates in uni. So the structure itself is there, the theory is there, but if you don't apply the things that need to get done on a continual basis while you're in uni, and it doesn't take a lot, by the way, if you actually did 2 hours of study every single day in uni, you would finish at the top of your class. Because the vast majority of the time, most people are just in a party culture and just wasting away those 3 to 4 years in university. It's absolutely ridiculous how much waste of talent is happening in uni when they could be of service to the world for those 3 to 4 years and actually work the job. Like, think about all of the. Hold on a second. Isn't it 200 plus million students that are warrior age? Like, think about that. Like, from 18 to 30 or 18 to 24, that was the military age back then. Like Roman Empire times. Like, if you were of age, you'd go out to battle and, swing your sword and potentially get killed at battle, right? And then this day, like, well, what's happening? Our youth are going to university and partying, just basically committing massive whoredoms and entering into the workforce unprepared after those 3 to 4 years, sometimes 5 years or more. What are we doing? Imagine if those 200 million people instead had gone into the workforce and been productive. That would have been amazing. Okay. I'm telling you right now that this is the what happens when you are an entrepreneur. You waste away your life the vast majority of the time as an entrepreneur because you're not doing the things that actually need to get done. This is why I say that the 80-hour work week is harder, because no one tells you what needs to get done. And even if they do, the vast majority of the time, you don't want to do it because there is no consequence as a result of you not doing it. If you have a coach, then you're paying on a monthly basis to get stuff done. right? Because there's accountability as a result of you paying for it. If you're not getting results because you're not putting in the work of what the coach is telling you to do, then you start wondering, is it worth it for me to actually pay the coach for me not doing the work? Well, you have a choice there now. It's like, do I continue having a coach and pay money and have that as a consequence of me not doing the work? And then have him help me to figure out why I can't and why I won't do the work? Or should I just quit on the coaching and try to do this on my own? Like, you think that going out on your own is going to be easier without accountability? Like, you see the dilemma you put yourself in of not doing the work, and the reason why you're not doing the work is because you were unprepared for entrepreneurship. The way to prepare for uni is to be a good student in high school, right? The way to be a great leader is to be a great follower. It starts there in your youth. Now, can you pick up on it later? Sure. Like, can you as a 30-year-old go back to high school and get straight A's? Yeah, you could. Are there many people that do that? No. I would say it's also a waste of time. But you could go back and you could get straight A's, and that 1 year of getting straight A's would prepare you for uni. But if you went straight to uni without actually having finished high school, or not having developed the correct habits, it would be a mess. You see what I'm saying? So just understand that aspect of you will struggle with entrepreneurship if you don't have the work ethic. And the work ethic is not there for basically one of two reasons. One, you're not really obsessed about the end result of that business, right? You're not obsessed about helping people to solve that problem that they actually have, that they have a massive pain point and they're willing to pay you for it, but you just are not engaged in it. Like, there's parts of my business that I'm massively engaged into. And that is the thing that I'm massively engaged into is the delivery aspect of my business. Okay. There's three different parts. I'm going to explain that in a second. But you got delivery, sales, and marketing. Okay. Delivery is the thing that I'm most passionate about in terms of helping people to solve the problems that are in their personal and private lives in order for them to succeed in business. Because as I mentioned in the previous video, it's always the private life and the things that are happening in your brain when you're not doing the work that's preventing you from actually doing the work. Does that make sense? So you want to get to the point where you're doing the work, but what's preventing you from doing it? This is where I come in, and that's why I love solving this issue, because the moment that they can tap into the 80-hour work week, their production and their results massively increases. And seeing that with my own eyes fires me up, right? So that's why I love the delivery aspect of this. Do I love the sales aspect of this? For a long period of time, I didn't. And the reason why is because I asked for money too quickly without people gaining my trust, without them being able to see that I truly cared about them. And I'm excited to say that I've changed that now. I'm the person who believes now that the fastest way to get 100 paying clients is 100 non-paying clients, which means that I want to work with as many people as possible, as much as I have capacity and to fill my calendar, because I want not only the reps to become even better and better and better at what I do, but I want to literally just serve the people. Because the moment you plant a seed of service in someone else's life and there's no strings attached, they might become clients. But even better, maybe, even if they don't become clients, they will share their amazing experience that they got with me with someone else that is a better fit for my program. And that person might stay with me for 5 years. And that only came about because I gave stuff away for free. And there are times in your business when you do that, when you want absolute massive momentum and your calendar is kind of empty, right? And I've kind of built a business now where I have a good business. I'm enjoying it, and there's can pay the bills and all that stuff and still have my freedom from needing a full-time job. But if I want to 10x something, I can't have an open calendar the way that I've got right now. And so I'm massively booking in my appointments right now. But before, in the past, I couldn't stand the process of actually DMing people and talking to them because it never went anywhere with the vast majority of people because I was too impatient with people. And I was too impatient in helping them work through the stuff that they had to go through to figure out why I would be a fit for them. Because we never really very often got to the point of understanding how I could actually help them. I know I could help them. There's always something that I can help people with. It's ridiculous what I can help people with, okay, in relationships, health, and finances. But what I came to now is the exciting aspect of offering my 5-day transformation, which is free and no strings attached, where I now can actually get to know someone, get to know a stranger, and see if how much I can truly help him or whether he needs to be working with someone else, right? But all of us have problems, all of us have issues, and we just need the next step, and we need someone to discuss and brainstorm with to get us to that next step. I'm falling in love with that process now, and the faster I fall in love with that process, the faster my business is going to go, right? Because 100 paying clients, the fastest way to get there is 100 non-paying clients. This is a gem, by the way. If you actually apply that into your own business, everything's going to change for you. I promise. Okay. And then you've got the marketing part of actually doing these videos. Me doing these videos, I actually love it. Me preparing lighting, microphone, the technicalities, using OBS, using all of the tech stuff. I can't stand it. Okay. I absolutely abhor it. I don't like it. I hate it. Okay. But actually being on camera and sharing my thoughts with you guys, I love it. Whenever you guys have questions for me, I love it. And coming up with topics that I'm interested in, I love that. But if there's stuff that you guys want to hear about that I'm not too interested in, like SR, for example, I could talk a long time about that. Yes, and I do enjoy the topic, but I want to attract people that are excited about entrepreneurship and massively putting in the work ethic, and only talking about SR is not going to make you financially successful. It's like you're spinning your wheels only thinking about that. Now, if you combine SR with entrepreneurship and the 80-hour work week, that's a winning formula, right? So now that we understand all this, in business, where you have these three of delivery, sales, and marketing, there's always going to be something that you don't like. And a lot of people think that you're going to, like, you have to build a business that you massively love and enjoy. They're correct. The only thing that they forgot to tell you, right, is the quote. What's the quote? Do what you love and you'll never work another day in your life. Okay, you've heard that quote. But it's not, or do what you're passionate about, as, Jeff Bezos, some guys are saying. But it doesn't really work like that in real life, because what you're passionate about, what they don't tell you is that it's the end result that you're passionate about. There might be parts of the business, just like I explained, that you enjoy to do, and that's fantastic if you do, but very often 80% of the progress that you're going to be making is from the stuff that you don't want to do. Okay? The magic is found in the work that you're avoiding. And for a very long time, I just avoided sales because, one, I was pretty bad at it, but also I didn't get to the point where people could trust me yet because I was so impatient with the process. And so as a result, I would create trauma for myself in terms of talking to people and, kind of expecting that they would say no. It's completely different now, which I'm grateful for, but you see how that can create a very bad feedback loop for yourself, because you end up not wanting to do, because you never feel like it, to do the thing that needs to get done in order for your business to massively grow. And so returning back to the title of why it's harder to do the 80-hour work week as an entrepreneur is because there is no structure. No one is telling you that you need to do this today, right now, or else. And not only that, but there are no immediate consequences for you not doing the work that is the magic. The only consequences is that you have, you might have zeros in your bank account at the end of the month, right? And you're forced to go back to get a job. You don't want to put yourself in that situation when you have managed to transition out of normal jobs and into entrepreneurship, of having to go back. Because I've tried it. I've seen how it is. And it's not very enjoyable, because a lot of people don't really know which skill you've got, because as an entrepreneur, you get all the skills. You're a massive value. but they don't really know where to place you and how to put you in. They should put you in leadership immediately if you've been a good entrepreneur. But if you were a fantastic entrepreneur, then you would have a successful business. Why are you out there looking for a job? If you're really good at what you do, then build your own business because you'd be making 5 times more, right? So why would someone employ you? So it's very tricky to do it, to go the entrepreneur route, to completely quit on jobs altogether. This is why you should build it over time. It's build your 80-hour work week muscle with a job, with 2 jobs, with 3 jobs, and then a business on the side. Because it is a muscle, and you will injure yourself potentially, or do some very big damage to yourself, to your psyche or whatever, trying to do the entrepreneurial road on your own in the beginning. Okay? And all the entrepreneurs that are listening to me would agree with this sentiment if they're have gotten quite far along on their journey, because looking back they'll be like, gosh dang, I should probably have held on to my job a little bit longer. Or I wish I would have put in the massive work ethic. That is like, I regret not working that hard. But it's like, you can't really say you regret working that hard, because it's like saying I regret not being able to lift 300 pounds, on the bench press or whatever. It's like, you can't regret something that you were never capable of doing in the first place, right? It's like, in order for you to lead, you have to be a great follower. In order for you to be good in uni, you have to be good in high school, right? In order for you to be a good entrepreneur, you have to be a good employee. Focus there first. Is one of my clients, was struggling to find the time to do his coding. He was supposed to become and is supposed to become a software developer, and I'm excited for him. And he's doing great now. But for a long period of time, he had to continuously work overtime at his work, because there was a rule that if he didn't finish his work, he'd have to do it in his own personal time and could finish off the work stuff. And this was getting in the way of his entrepreneurship and his journey. And so I'm like, there is nothing else. There is no business before you actually solve the work equation. You should become the best employee at your job to the point where you no longer have to work overtime. And that's when you can start building your business. That might not be your case, okay? If you are an employee and you're asked by your boss to take over leadership roles and you're going to get a promotion and all this stuff, I don't recommend that. Okay? This is why it's important to discuss with the coach before you make important life and career decisions, because you might not know what the consequences are long term of this thing that you're actually doing. But a coach that's seen this in hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people kind of has an idea. Okay, so but for him that was the right thing, and now he has managed to do that. He's gotten really good at his job and is one of the most consistent guys in my group right now. And as a result, he's now able to partake and do great things in entrepreneurship. He built up his power, his strength, his capacity through his job to be able to do a great, to have capacity to build a business on the side. And so I'm really excited for what he's going to do long term. Okay. So going back to the 3 things that I spoke about of delivery, sales, and marketing, the magic is found in the work that you're avoiding. You will continuously avoid doing things that need to get done, and usually it's the hardest thing, right? Like, it's kind of like with exercise. Think about it. What do you want to work out the most at the gym if you're a gym guy? You want to work out the upper body. Why is that? Because it's one that's most visible, right? Like, if you have good shoulders and a V torso and and you look fantastic, people notice, right? What is it that they don't notice, but actually is probably just as important, if not more important, for your hormonal development of testosterone? It's leg day, right? And this is the exact same thing in business. Leg day is the magic work where you get massive results as a result of you doing what needs to get done, okay? So guys that are fired up about leg day, who does the gym, they're the ones that get massive results with their upper body as well, because they take everything seriously at the gym, right? So it's the same thing in business. It's like, if you do fantastic in sales, you'll be able to have the money to hire the right people in each of your departments so that you're taking things seriously. If you only have capacity to sell and then you don't sell enough, so you have to be the one that's responsible for deliveries, and you have to do the marketing, and you have to do everything else, like over time you're gonna burn yourself out. Okay, obviously burning yourself out is a choice, but this is the choice you're making when you're choosing to avoid the stuff that actually needs doing. Okay, so how do we manage to strengthen that muscle? Just understand that long term, it's going to get harder and harder if you don't do the right things now. Okay, so if you do the hard stuff now, it's going to get easier and easier over time. Isn't that crazy how that works? Okay, you procrastinate something, it's going to get harder and harder because you've basically built yourself into debt, right? You've dug yourself a grave, and now you have to get yourself out of the grave before you can get back to neutral. This is how it is if you don't do the work that needs to get done in your business, right? But if you do the stuff that's hard in the beginning, then everything else becomes easier over time. And it's flippin' beautiful how that works. And the hardest part is initially the massive rejection or the YouTube videos with absolute zero views and zero monetization and zero subscribers. This is horrible to continue pumping out massive amounts of content, not knowing if it's going to work, what's going to work, and then quitting. I've seen guys that have been working with me that have 1,000+ subscribers that suddenly quit on their YouTube channel and decided to do something else. Now, they might be happy in that business, the other business that they've done, and they say they're happy, which is great. But what type of quality of life are they going to have a result of that business, and which one would they have rather done? It's a very interesting question. You have to ask yourself that, because at some point there's going to be something you don't like about the business that you're in, no matter what. And in many ways, it doesn't really matter what business you're in, because there's always going to be a massive wall that stops you. You just have to choose a problem that you're really passionate about solving. That's really the only thing that matters, because 80% of the work that you're going to be doing is going to be stuff that you don't want to do and that you don't feel like doing, and that you're doing despite those emotions, and you're just disciplining yourself to make it happen. Okay? That's business and entrepreneurship. And guess what? It's also being an employee as well. You're going to be doing stuff that you don't want to do, but there's just that it's 40 years. While in business, it can be 3 to 5 years, and then you can literally replace yourself with people that are better than you, including a CEO, so that you can do another business and do whatever else you want. Or you can take 2 years off, or you basically just have a bunch of options that you can do with your life after you've built up a successful business. So, not only that, let me bring this into you as well. Marriage, right? Don't you want eventually to get, have a family? You want kids? You want a lot of kids? Okay. Does it make sense that if you wait with entrepreneurship and with business building until you have that and you start building that, during the time when you have that, it's going to get harder to build your business if you don't have a successful business already? Yeah, of course it's going to be difficult. Think about it this way. I look at marriage as a business. Okay? So it's just an extra thing that needs thought and consideration and work, right? Kids, every single child that you have is an own separate business entity, in the sense that you have to think about it. You can't neglect it. It has to be on maintenance or growth, right? Depending upon the situation of the child. Okay. What about your hobbies? They're a business. Okay. Your health, it's a business. Diet is a business. Everything in your life is a business. And preferably, you should only be working on 3 businesses at a time. Okay? That's it. Everything else should be on maintenance mode, or preferably completely and utterly neglected. And that's when you succeed as an entrepreneur and as a business owner. And it's hard to make those sacrifices and make those decisions and priorities when you're actually in it, right? It's hard to hear, if that were to ever happen to someone, that a woman divorces you because you didn't solve the problems that were in the marriage, because you didn't have capacity to do so, because you had to pay the bills. And it was like, why she's now taking half my stuff anyway, right? This is what would be going on if you're getting a divorce, and I have to pay for all these lawyer fees, when I could have just avoided that if I had taken care of the business and understood what needed to be taken care of, I'm not saying that you should focus all of your attention on your wife, and neglect your business. I'm just saying that if you spend some time with the coach and understanding women and understanding how they function, you would be able to navigate that water better, right? And so you add that to your business, you add kids, you add everything else to your business, family, in-laws, etc., etc. Life is going to get more and more complicated, not easier over time. And so you want to take care of business early on. You want to do the 80-hour work week when you don't have other responsibilities and other things going on in your life. When everything, like your health and, your diet and like that's kind of on autopilot. Your family's on autopilot. It's not like you have to massively invest an hour every single day in your mom and pops and your siblings, right? They can take care of themselves. And, there might be other things in your life, but everything else should be kind of on maintenance. You want to grow your business. And that's what I'm helping you to understand now is that it gets so much harder in entrepreneurship to do the 80-hour work week, again, because you don't have the structure. It's work that you prefer not doing, but it eventually will give you the result that you desire. And so build that muscle in advance through getting 3 jobs and doing the 80-hour work week as an employee. That's what I recommend. A last tidbit of information before I respond to questions, if there are any questions in the chat. You want to make sure that you are interested in the people that you're serving, because that's literally what you're doing. Like, so if you don't like selling and you don't want to relieve them of their pain, because that's really what you're doing. You're finding a stranger who has an extreme pain point and you have a solution that helps them solve that pain problem, right? Now you have the opportunity now to change a life. Think about that. You're not doing this just for the money. You're not doing this just so that you can get freedom. You're doing, God's work, so to speak. Okay? In the sense that you are helping other people to fulfill their potential. Because the only thing that's preventing them from achieving their potential is all of their problems that they've got. And they want to solve them so that they can actually help solve other people's problems. If you're helping the right people, right? And that's the cool part about serving people that you care about, that will do great things for other people if you alleviate them of their pain. Right? Over time in business, you get to choose your clients, which is awesome, because that means that you are alleviating, like the ripple effect of alleviating pain becomes exponential. And this is one of the reasons why I love capitalism, I love business, I love entrepreneurship. I'll never stop talking about it. And I love helping people to succeed with it, because there is nothing more more important than this. And by and large, like, who would have thought that entrepreneurship is also the thing that makes a man more than anything else? So if you would want to become a great man, which in essence means a great father, a great leader, a great provider, a great protector, a great, presider, a leader of his flock, of his family and his employees and his clients. If you want to be great, there is nothing else than getting massive amounts of rejection under your belt. Basically, completely, massively moving forward in your business and trying to figure out what works and what doesn't work. And what you'll realize is that the only thing that doesn't work is you. You're the problem. And that's exciting, because that means that you're also the solution. So the moment you become a new version of you, and that's what naturally happens if you're actually doing the 80-hour work week, you're stripping away all of the stuff that's not necessary, right? You're like the ice sculpture that's, that the maker is making into a beautiful sculpture eventually. And we got to get rid of all of the coarseness and all of the rocks and all of the stuff that's in the way from you becoming your ultimate version of yourself. And it starts with one step, and doing one step at a time, moving forward and making things happen. So Appreciate that you guys are sharing this stuff. Let's answer some questions because we've got some good ones right here. All right. I did the 80-hour work week and I deeply regret every second of it. Fantastic. We're going to respond to this. Most of this stuff is overkill, brother. Work smarter, not harder. At the end of the day, hustle culture is a myth, but I appreciate your views. Looks like it's working for you, brother. I was able to generate around $62,000 though, but I was miserable and the money didn't bring one bit of happiness. Balance is key. Have your money work for you, y'all. Okay, so you're the only guy in the chat, so keep chatting because this might be an interesting discussion for all the people that haven't heard this information. And I think it would be cool to actually have someone discuss with me on a video itself. We could do a Google Meet or something and discuss it because the people need to know. Because there's a lot of people that think like you, right? And in my opinion, that is a huge problem for the world. Okay? Imagine if one person could be two people, right? Not only the 200 million that we spoke about earlier, right, that are going to university and they could be in the labor force immediately and actually gain experience. That would have been fantastic. But imagine if let's say half of those, let's say all of those are men, okay? 100 million, then they did double the amount of work. I'm not expecting women to do that. But if they did double the amount of work, not only would they get success faster, they would serve more people, they would solve more problems, and it would be as if there's 300 million people working instead of just 200 million, right? Preferably, maybe women don't even need to be in the workforce. I'm just saying. Like, not from a voluntary perspective. If they want to be in the workforce, be my guest. But if you, as a man, are a man, you'd want to provide for a woman to the point where she doesn't have to work because it creates extraordinary pressure and burden on her. And so I would be the one that would, encourage men to work double so that the woman doesn't have to work and so that you build the capacity so to the point where you're providing for all of your family on your own because it's easy, right? Like if you're doing things right, you should be able to provide for an entire village by yourself over the next decade, okay? But here we have a guy who seems to have quit, in my opinion, prematurely, and saying that hustle culture is a myth. So here's my response to that. You haven't seen, perhaps you haven't been in a business that actually provided a real pain solution to someone so that you could experience how it is to actually solve a problem that you're passionate about. Maybe the thing that you were doing, you weren't passionate about it. That's one thing. I'm very curious for how long you did the 80-hour work week. I'm very serious, also curious to hear if you would have learned, like, what did you learn on that journey? I'm also curious what you're doing right now. Like, we need to hear the whole picture because just to say that you deeply regret every second of it, I don't know your age. I don't know what your goals in life are. I don't know if you're already a successful business owner. It doesn't seem like you are since you said that you've made around $62,000. I don't know if that's revenue. I don't know if that's profits. Like, so there's a lot of information that I don't have available to me from the stuff that you just mentioned. But if I was going to take a guess and just let me make assumptions, okay? The assumptions are you did a business that you probably weren't really that passionate about. It was about 2 years, 1099. It was multiple side gigs. Okay, thanks for replying. For 2 years, 1099. How old are you now? It's a very interesting question. I would assume that you figured out that, you know what, life is to be enjoyed. I shouldn't be continuously going through this massive amount of rejection. And also, what is the purpose anyway at the end of the day? Like, okay, I get lots of money eventually if I keep going, but what's the point? Why should I have lots of money? Because at some point, more money creates more problems, right? More money, more problems. There's some people that say that more money doesn't necessarily equate to more happiness. and there's studies made and all that stuff. I don't believe in those, by the way. I believe that currently, right now, the number that probably would give you the most happiness from a US perspective is approximately $20,000 a month in spending money. So meaning after tax. And it's very difficult to build that kind of income stream without a business. And so what ends up happening is that you go back to working a normal job, which is fine. And maybe you're even high paid employee. If you're a high paid employee, fantastic, good for you. But the higher paid, um, actually, it's up to you because you're 80-hour work week. Discussions were inspiring at the time. Fantastic. Uh, at the where I think I lost my track, but the whole point that I'm trying to say is that we can't lose sight of the fact that there's still another 20 to 30 years left of work that needs to get done. And you're going to work at least 40 hours a week for the rest of your life. If we go into a massive recession, depression, and you have people that you're responsible for, you're probably going to have to do the 80-hour work week at some point anyhow. And during that time, if that time were to come, wouldn't you want to be the leader and the one that has developed the skills that are necessary in order for your wife and your children to survive, and not only survive, but also thrive during that time frame when everyone else is struggling? Like, there's a massive risk to not going out there and developing the skill sets as an entrepreneur that are needed. Now, it might also, I was going to say that you probably did this as an employee, but you said that you generated $62,000. Could you tell me a little bit about the business that you actually created? It might be interesting to hear. Ran back to W-2 because it was hard being my own boss. There you go. Uh, I wonder why it was hard to be your own boss. Was it hard because you didn't want to do the sales? You didn't tackle the rejection? Was it hard because of other things in your private life that came, that came about? Was it hard because of competition in the marketplace? There could be so many different reasons why it was difficult. But the biggest problem businesses usually have is lead flow. Like, there's just not enough people coming into the door. And honestly, if you did have that, if you did have massive lead flow, I'm sure you would have actually enjoyed the money. Like, you would have enjoyed doing what you were doing. And I don't know if that was serving, people in a way that solves a great problem or not. And maybe that was also part of the problem because you didn't have a business that you truly were passionate about solving the problem for. But now you've gone back to being an employee. Now you can relax, right? It's kind of like you had your goal was to become a successful business owner, and so that's spot B. You started at spot A, and there was like an invisible thread between it, and there was massive tension going on the first couple of years that you started as a business owner, and you couldn't handle the pressure. And so you used scissors and you cut that tension so that there was no longer any tension. And now, as a result of there no longer being any tension, you can finally relax and now you're happy again. And that's good for a period of time, but it's like peeing your pants when you're in a snowstorm in Alaska. It's like it's gonna eventually create a problem. It's very, very nice and warm and comfortable for a period of time. And then eventually it's a problem, right? And so I'm just saying that there might come a time when you wish you had the skills, you had the money, because you found someone that you care deeply for that you want to help, but you can't. And that could be parents, grandparents, wife, kids, or even just you, your own potential, the stuff that you could do, but you can't because you haven't developed those skills because you're repeatedly on the piano of life, you're pushing one key. Bing, 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 bing. And that's how it is to have a job, right? Until you quit that job and start another one. But it's difficult, right? Okay. It wasn't an actual business that I established. It was just generating money through gig apps. So yeah, you're talking about creating your own business from the ground up. That's different. I fell for the lies of being your own boss through the gig apps. Ah, I see. Um, so gig apps being Uber, perhaps, or renting out your own cars, or renting out, Airbnb arbitrage. I mean, somewhat. That's kind of, I mean, those are businesses, by the way. If it requires you physically to be there, it's a job. You can't, like, with Uber, for example. It's not like you can necessarily. I mean, you could. I don't know what the rules are these days, but back in the day, you could have done this where you have a lot of cars. I mean, I guess it's a limo company, right? You have a lot of cars and you rent them out to people, and then they drive them, and that makes you a business owner, and you're spending less on them than what comes in, so you get the profit margin. So yeah, yeah, it's not gig apps is not going to do the thing unless you actually have a vision for what you're going to create long term with 100 employees, 1,000 employees, 10,000 employees. But yeah, you need a bigger dream, man. You need a bigger under like you need to look at the world, see what the world needs, and actually create a solution for the biggest pains that are there that you want to solve. And if you did that, I think the biggest problem you did, yeah, DoorDash and Variable basically was an independent contractor, and that was the mistake you did. I know. I think we spoke on some conversations. If you're the guy from Las Vegas, I think I remember you. Um, and great guy, by the way. But I think the biggest mistake that was made was not having a coach, was not spending time with people that were actual business owners and just doing everything on your own. And now you've developed this faulty belief that the 80-hour work week was the most miserable that you ever were, which is correct, by the way. You were. And that is by design. Entrepreneurship is supposed to be like that. We are supposed to be miserable the first few years. Why? Because you have no idea what you're doing. And this is the time where people also are broke, and so they don't want to hire help. They don't want to hire professionals to give them. So during this time frame, you need to get as much free help as you possibly can. This is why I have the 5-day transformation for those that haven't been clients of mine in the past. So you understand. But hopefully this helped you a little bit. Maybe you'll get back to entrepreneurship again. Um, oh, not the Vegas guy. Okay, cool. So yeah, what I recommend for you, bro, is keep going. Right? Don't give up. Even though you're in your late 30s, this is the time to shine. Um, if you want a family in the future, bro, I highly recommend that you don't give up on this. And because there's so much potential that can be had from building a business the right way, and you're just, you know, like, don't allow your cup to be full, right? Having your cup full means that you're just not able to take in more information because, you might know it all, or etc. But I mean, you say here that, there are good points and that you needed a mentor, but it seems to me that you still need a mentor. And it's not necessarily me. Like, find yourself one, maybe someone that's maybe more affordable. I don't know. Right now, I am the most affordable because it's free, right? To have a 5-day transformation with me. And if you want that, then, just hit me up on Instagram. If you haven't worked with me as a client before, I'm going to give you that for free. Make sure that you can get your life sorted. The fact that you even spent this time on this call with me is freaking awesome. And most people have already left by now. So, yeah, I want to help you, man. I want to help you to get back on track, like the logo says, and to do great things with your life. You don't have to remain an employee forever. Being a business owner, especially if you're single, you can build massive success in just a few years' time. It doesn't take decades unless you're doing something extremely wrong. And usually that's what happens when you don't have a mentor or coach or someone who's gone before you, because you're falling for all of the minefields in Vietnam. No offense. And you're falling for all the bear traps in Alaska in the middle of winter. It's like, of course you're going to get injured. Of course you're going to be like, man, I'm never going into that woods again. I'm never going through those fields again. It's like, yeah, of course you do. You lost 3 or 4 legs doing that. I'm just messing around. But obviously you'd be miserable going through there. But if you go with a tour guide who knows where to go and has experience because he's seen other people get blown up multiple times, like it's gonna be a different type of journey in it. So that's what I recommend. That's my 2 cents. All right. Anyway, thank you for the discussion. Hope this was also helpful for everyone else here. And I'll speak to you guys in the next one.